Here's today's true or false question. To have a successful business as an entrepreneur, you have to have a lot of experience in the industry your business is in. What do you think? It is absolutely possible to build a successful business without having a ton of experience in the area. There are a lot of people that seem like they're overnight sensations. There are a lot of people that just have a natural ability, and there are some people that transition from a corporate or traditional job and use those skills to start a business. So where are you on that spectrum? Are you going every day to a place that you really don't want to be, that's kind of draining the life out of you because you're afraid to start a business? All right, before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Tia Robertson. I'm the founder of the Black Entrepreneurs Network and the host of the show, Entrepreneur Insider. Now, I know all of you know that it is possible to start a business. There are a lot of us that go to jobs every day and we're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I hate being here. This is horrible. I'm meant for so much more. I think usually that's a sign that you're meant to do something else. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to start a business. Maybe you can volunteer somewhere. Maybe you can mentor someone. Maybe you can just give a word of encouragement. But whatever it is, I challenge you to listen to that voice and go where it takes you. You never know who you may help. Now, some people do take their experience in corporate America, as with a job, working for an employer, no matter what it is, they take it and they can build those skill sets to help someone else. And let's keep it real. We do know there are some people that seem like they just wake up and they start a business. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but the key is they're following their passion. In every single case, the thing that's important to remember is that when starting a business, you take the steps that help you build a proper foundation. So, you'll consult an attorney, you'll consult an accountant, you may consult a mentor at SCORE who's associated with the Small Business Administration. Maybe you can reach out to someone in your network, your friends or family that have started a business, and kind of pick their brain. No one should start a business alone. You should always have a plan and prepare. Now, it doesn't mean that things won't come up that you may not prepare for, but you're better equipped for success if you kind of cover the who, what, when, where, why of business planning. Now, I am excited to introduce you to today's Entrepreneur of the Week. Her name is Nicole Robertson, and she is the founder and owner of Cinole Consulting. She will tell you all about her business, but hint, hint, she'll also tell you how she made that successful transition from 9 to 5 with one of the largest financial institutions to being a business owner that's making a difference in the lives of a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. Now, stay tuned. Here's Nicole. Hello, everyone. I am Tia here with our Entrepreneur of the Week, Nicole Robertson. I am super excited for you all to meet her. She is the owner of Cinole Consulting, where increased productivity and increased income, yay, money, is their goal, is her goal. So welcome, Nicole. How are you doing today?
I am well, Tia. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, definitely. Okay, and so really quick disclaimer for our audience out there. I know Nicole is Cody, so I'll try not to use her nickname, but if you hear me slip and call her Cody, then we're referring to the same person. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this week's conversation and being our Entrepreneur of the Week. We are super excited to learn more about you.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Okay. I know you're probably like, what is she going to ask me, right? All right. So I always like to kind of start our conversations with a question that's a little bit out of the norm, right? Okay. So I won't ask you, It won't be anything about like your favorite food preferences or anything like that. But we would love to know if you could choose anyone, living or deceased, to be your business mentor. Who would you choose and why?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. My business mentor and why?
So keep in mind, like a business mentor, and this isn't for you because I know you know, but for anyone that's watching, is someone that you would not pay to mentor you, but you could pick their brain, and because they've kind of traveled along the same path, or they can kind of give you some guidance.
This is going to be really out of the box and maybe not necessarily business wise, but I know I would learn a lot. I would have to say Maya Angelou. And here's why. Knowing her story of where she came from and the challenges she had to overcome, I would love to just be able to sit and learn how she maneuvered through challenges. Because within business, we're always going to have obstacles, always have challenges. And sometimes we get stuck, or I'll speak for myself, I get stuck. And it's like, how do I, while still remaining true to myself, but at the same time, having the confidence and the courage to speak up for myself, having the outcome that suits me and not necessarily based upon how other people perceive me or what other people want from me. And I think she would be able to give that. I really do.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Hey, she mentored Oprah, right? So,
right.
So that's a good person to mentor you. All right. Good choice. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you always been an entrepreneur? And if not, what did you do before becoming one?
I have not always been an entrepreneur. And prior to becoming one, I actually worked in corporate America for 20 years plus as a program project manager, if you will, specializing in operational risk management. Okay. And for a lot of your big, Fortune 500 banks, I'll say. And here I am today.
Okay. Definitely understand. So it sounds really technical. Okay. I know, right? Okay. Where did the idea for your business, Cinole Consulting, come from?
The idea for the business came from years of frustration working in corporate America and really just being uneasy with what I was doing. And not necessarily what I was doing, but who I was working for. And knowing that there was I could use my skill sets on more of the grassroots level, meaning for those within our community and being able to help build stronger, sustainable communities. Because unfortunately, especially in the African-American community or communities of color, we don't have the capital. We don't have the resources some of the others do. And I thought I need to be in a role where I feel fulfilled day in and day out. And working for corporate America, although I love the pay, I just was not happy. Not happy at all. And so I had to do some soul searching and say, okay, what can I do with the skill sets I have and those things that I like and love to do? How can it benefit me while at the same time benefiting our community?
Love it. That is an amazing reason to start a business. We need more entrepreneurs like you with that mindset. Okay. So here's another question that's going to make you think for a second, right? People always say that nothing that they learned in school was ever applicable in real life. Now, while this can be the case, right? I will be a testament to that. It's not always the case, right? Sometimes there's something that we learned in school that we use in life. So can you tell us at least one skill, just one skill that you learned that you use in your business?
One skill that I learned in school, and I tell this to my kids all the time. I learned how to start a project and how to finish a project. I look at the college experience as a project. If you can start it and finish it, you can start and finish anything else.
Oh, love it. That is an amazing skill. Yes, definitely. Yes, please tell my child that as well. All right. So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about Cinole Consulting. Who is your target audience? What are the services you offer? And how does your target audience benefit from your services?
Okay, so I'm going to take this not in the same order in which you described it, but Cinole Consulting is actually a firm where we specialize in business process improvement, and we offer executive virtual assistant services. I like to consider myself as a solution-driven strategic partner for those small businesses that I work with. We're fairly new in this venture, as I call it, or journey. I am still ironing out exactly who my niche is. However, this is what I love, or these are the industries I love, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to support. And that is small business owners in the cannabis industry, specifically on the virtual assistant side. That is up and coming with so many of our states that are now, legalizing recreational marijuana. Then I'm like, there has to be components of that business where those owners need the support, whether that's front office, middle office, or back office, in helping them run their operations. So that's one industry. The other industry is the food service industry. How many times have we heard, especially in communities of color, we have friends or family or people we don't know, but they have a restaurant of some sort, but the number one challenge that they may have is customer service, or their, speed to market, or, their speed to getting your order to them is fairly slow. Well, I would come in and take a look at their internal operations to see where they can reduce redundancy and hopefully increase their speed to market that ultimately would reduce any wasted costs, whether that's time, resources, as well as their product. Then the third industry that I'm very passionate about is the mental health industry. I am a big advocate for mental health and love to work with the small business owners who have either the one shop or the small shop practice in being that front office manager, if you will, for their practice. I think you have a third component in there, and I cannot remember exactly what you.
No, you answered it. Sorry, I was making a note because there's somebody that I need to probably put you in contact with after this.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So no, but you answered the question perfectly. Thank you. Excuse me. No, that's definitely because you told us, exactly, who you would benefit and how. And yeah, and it's funny because you did exactly what I encourage a lot of our entrepreneurs to do, right? Is one, to listen when we talk to one another. Because, there can sometimes be some wheels that turn in ways that we can kind of help each other out, even if that's not the intention, right? Like, even though our intention is to have a conversation, I'm like, oh, there's some people that Cody can probably help. Cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Okay. How did you determine, since you told us about the three, I don't want to say types of audience, but the three areas, the three industries where you feel that you can provide your services most beneficially. Is that a word? I always make up words. How did you determine who should comprise that audience, your target audience? Like, so for example, how did you determine a restaurant industry versus an entertainment complex like a Dave and Buster's, or like, how did you determine basically who should be in your target audience and who you could who's better suited for your services?
I determined that based upon what I'm passionate about. Learning from working in corporate America and knew, day in and day out, getting up and not liking necessarily what I was doing for that particular industry, knew I had the skill set for it. But I said, I'm going to do something. I only got one life. So the rest of my life, I need to be engaged with the things that I'm passionate about, or the people that I want to learn from, or those who I want to support, so that I can see firsthand how I can be of of service to them, right? The other thing is, specifically when it comes to the food service industry, I looked at, where do I spend my money?
Good point.
I spend my money on food.
Yeah.
And so, thinking, well, not necessarily that I'm looking for, something in return, but if this is where I'm spending my money, it's no different than when I take a look at stocks and bonds and don't go there. I always teach our kids, where you want to invest is those things that you're already spending your money on. Start there, because typically our heart will direct us into what we truly love. And so I love food. I'm passionate about my mental health, and I'm coming into the knowledge of more of the health benefits of cannabis. So why not?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and you hit the nail right on the head, right? Life is short, but life is also can be long if you're doing something you don't want to do. So it really makes sense to do something you're passionate about. And so I definitely love your way of thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you building, I apologize. How are you building your customer base in those industries? So for example, how are you contacting people or letting them know about your services, things of that nature?
So different channels. First and foremost, having a website. I will say, being that we're fairly new, I didn't have a website starting out. I didn't even have social media starting out. It just so happens that I actually became a part of a networking group, i.e. the Black Entrepreneurs Network, that actually featured me. And I was able to gain a client, I won't say my first client, but a client that way. So social media outlets, of course, website, and word of mouth. But the biggest component that we have been learning for the last few months is the power of networking. That is so crucial, which I know my personality is, I like to be in the background. I don't necessarily like to be out the forefront, but I'm learning that, hey, Nicole, if you want to make money, you got to put stuff out there. So you've got to network, and you have to open up your mouth and tell what you do.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because it actually touches on my next question in terms of which strategy, marketing strategy, has been the most beneficial to you.
Okay.
So yes, definitely. There are a lot of components about network, and it's not just showing up. So I'm glad you just said that. You said that, because what they say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. You got to show up, and you got to open your mouth.
Exactly.
Definitely. So was it intentional when you started your business that you didn't have a website or social media, or was that accidental?
It was intentional, because at the time I didn't know who to go to build the website. I'll say this. I knew I could go to my husband, but he already has his own business and working his 9-to-5 and have so much on his plate by helping us, that I said, nah, I don't want to burden him with another project. So it took me some time to figure out, okay, who's out there, what's out there, where can I go just to start? But I've learned too that I had to tell myself, Nicole, you can't wait until everything is in place to start. Yep. Which I have a tendency to wanting to do that, just because the process side of me is like, well, no, if A, B, C is not in alignment, we can't start anything. But that's not always the case in business. It's better to start, and I'm starting and learning as I go.
Yes, definitely. Again, 2 great points that you just mentioned that I want to just make sure I reiterate for everyone. 1, just start, right? Things do not have to all be in a line.
The stars do not have to align.
Exactly. And it is possible to start and get clients without a website and social media, right? I mean, sometimes people use those as a hookup. So I'm glad that you definitely mentioned those 2 points. Yeah. Most people, when they think of like the word process, they think that process is like the idea of a process or an improving a process only really pertains to like a large company or a corporation, right? Like we think of, McDonald's changing their process to make the hamburger, or, FedEx changing their process of delivering a package. Do you agree that processes only pertain to large companies and corporations.
I do not agree with that. And here's why. We as humans are process oriented. And you may say, why do you say that? Because we are creatures of habit. And so take yourself for example. Typically, when we get up in the morning, we follow a similar process or routine process, same thing, almost every morning. And so if we're doing that, on a day-to-day basis, it's really taking those same fundamental tools and translating them on the business side of the house. It's no different.
Excellent example. Okay, thank you. That'll make a lot of sense to people, right? Because they do have routines. Yeah. In the morning, wake up, brush teeth. Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes we have to tweak our routine depending upon if we got up late, if we overslept.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that way of thinking.
It's so different.
Yeah. Okay. It makes a lot of sense. And the information you're sharing helps us, like, even if we don't think of ourselves as I'm not in the cannabis industry, but the information you're sharing is something that actually would help me outside of the cannabis industry. So this is great. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Different people, like experts, people on social media, Clubhouse, everybody's an expert, right? They all tell us how they tell us how much business income business owners and entrepreneurs should keep versus invest, but very rarely do we hear any input on how entrepreneurs should spend their day. So as someone that helps people with their processes and improves them, how much of your day, your business day, so not like holidays or weekends, is spent on operational tasks such as like client work, paying invoices, versus your growth tasks such as like marketing? You mentioned attending networking events, reaching out to leads. Like, how would you spend your day? And I know every day is a little bit different, but in general, how do you split your day? Operational tasks versus like growing tasks?
Very good question. Right now, being that, we're still up and coming, it's really 50-50 because being that I'm right now as a one-stop shop, and the sole owner and operator right now, I have to be very strategic in spending, making sure that from a foundation standpoint, the business formation side of the house, I'm giving that the quality time it needs. Because I know on the front end, by me doing that over time, it won't need the 50% that I'm giving it right now. At some point, I'm hoping that it'll turn into, 20% operational and 80% that other piece. How did you decide? How did you
growth?
Growth. Yeah. Because ideally, what we want for Cinole Consulting to become is have teams of virtual assistants and process improvement consultants. That's the ultimate goal.
Okay. So really quick question, not to put you on the spot, but if anybody hears this or when people see this episode, if they're interested in becoming a virtual assistant and connecting with you to maybe join your team, is now a good time for them to reach out to you? Or is that something that's like a long-term goal?
I say networking is always a right now opportunity. So, let's lay the foundation, let's create the relationship, and because you never know what that will turn into. And so I'm never going to shy away from meeting people and getting to know people, because we could have an opening right now and we definitely will have openings in the future. So feel free to go to my website and we'll make it happen.
All right, definitely. Okay, so you mentioned you're on social media, and I know you just mentioned your website. Where can our audience find you? Can you tell us specifically what social media platforms you're on?
Sure. We are right now on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And we'll soon be on Clubhouse.
Right.
And the website is below, but we can also find us at Cinole, and that's Cinole Consulting.com.
Okay, perfect. And like Nicole said, we'll definitely make sure we post all of her social media URLs down below, as well as the website. Out of curiosity, how did you pick your business name?
Great question. Actually, Cinole is Nicole with the N and the C reversed.
Okay.
And it's actually my daughter's middle name. And so, although, I was just trying to see what went with consulting, and I was like, oh, and it's different. And I probably won't have a hard time finding registering the website as well as finding the names on social media. And sure enough, I didn't have a problem at all.
Love it. Yes. And it's catchy with the alliteration. So, yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that, registering an entity name as well as I don't know if you mentioned the name trademark. Sorry if you didn't, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because I always kind of, let people know, make sure you're not out there using like People Mover and there's like 100 people out there using People Mover. You're actually doing your research and making sure your names are available. So, okay. But definitely love the name. I happen to know where it came from, but I just wanted to make sure our audience kind of
knew. Figured that. Great question. Great question.
Yes, definitely. Okay. So last question, what advice, and I always kind of like to end our conversations with the same question, what advice would you give someone, particularly a person of color, that's thinking of starting a business?
Oh, great question. A couple things. If you had, I don't speak from my own personal experience. I consider to be a little bit shy by nature. Like I mentioned earlier, like to stay in the background. However, got to the point where I felt like if I stay in the background and continue to do what I'm doing, I'm giving a disservice just to myself because I'm not happy. So if you're having those feelings of struggle or conflict where you're like, there has to be more to this than this, it is. But you're only going to be able to, bring that to fruition until you decide to take the first step. So you often hear people say, just do it, take the leap. Mm-hmm. I say that, but I also say, please do your research in figuring out what you want to do, what's out there, taking the skill sets that you have and figuring out, okay, how best can my skill set serve, whatever it is I'm interested in. 9 times out of 10, there is a creative way of doing that. You just have to figure out what that is.
Okay. All right. And I know I said that was my last question, but based upon what you said, I have another one. So you didn't mention this among your list of services, but from hearing you speak and knowing your experience as a corporate professional as well as an entrepreneur, if anyone just had a question about how to get started or what type of like career guidance, or not necessarily like you're a guidance counselor, but just, kind of a path based upon what you said, they maybe just need a sounding board or someone to hold them accountable. Are you, and this kind of puts you on the spot, so I apologize.
No, you're fine.
But are you open for people to contact you just to kind of ask you questions? Maybe they need a mentor, things of that nature. Is that something that you would be willing to do if anyone in our audience needed that?
I really am. I'm a big proponent in each one, teach one. And not only can I share, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to learn some things from them as well. The more we have that mindset of being able to foster that sense of community, I think the better off we'll be. So yeah, if I can be of service to anyone, feel free to either DM me or go to the website and schedule some time via our contact us page.
Okay, perfect. And thank you, because I know that will definitely help some people out. And finally, do you have any upcoming events or services or anything like that we should know about? I noticed on your website you do have, is it a consultation that you offer?
We do.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
We do offer a complimentary consultation. And so feel free to leverage that to your convenience. Where we will, talk to you to see what your business needs are. And if you don't right now have a business, but you just want, a sounding board to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. feel free to use that tool to reach out to us as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Before we end, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
I just thank you personally just for having both avenues for us entrepreneurs of color, be it the Black Entrepreneurs Network group as well as now Entrepreneur Insider. You probably have been told this before, maybe not, but I value what you bring to the table. And I value your passion of what you're doing to help us, because we don't have the resources that some of our counterparts may have. But I have found it to be very, very beneficial. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I enjoyed learning all about you and Cinole Consulting. I know our audience did as well. And as I mentioned, all of Nicole's information will be posted down below. As I say every week, I encourage you to reach out to her, ask her questions, learn more about her services. It costs nothing to support another entrepreneur of color. And of course, share her with your network of entrepreneurs, friends, family as well. So until next time, thank you all. Thank you again, Nicole. And I hope everyone remembers to be great. I hope that after watching this episode, you know that it is possible to transition from a corporate career or a job to becoming a successful business owner or entrepreneur. All things are possible. You just have to start. Thank you so much to Nicole for the insight that she shared during her feature interview. For more information about Nicole, her businesses, her services, or just to ask her questions, all of her information will be posted down below in the show notes. As always, I encourage you to connect with her and to share her information with the people that you know, whether they're entrepreneurs or not. You never know who might benefit from her expertise. Now, we're coming to the end of this season, but we're still looking for entrepreneurs to feature. If you have any questions about becoming a featured entrepreneur, sponsoring an episode, let me know. You can email me directly at info@theblackentrepreneurssnetwork.com. As always, this show is brought to you in partnership with Relationship Entertainment Television. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so now. Hit that red button at the bottom right of your screen. And while you're there, hit that bell so that way you're alerted every time a new episode of Entrepreneur Insider airs, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, I would love to hear your feedback. Do you have questions about this interview? Do you have questions about Entrepreneur Insider, the Black Entrepreneurs Network, about myself? Anything that you have, put it down in the comment section. I will read each one and reply personally. I look forward to seeing what you put. Now, until next time, don't forget, be great.